Welcome back to the check-in. Great to have you guys listening in, both on YouTube and on the website. I'm Phil Kloppers, Technical Director here at Norwegian Settlers Church, and I'm joined again by Errol. Errol, thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
This is becoming a real habit, and I enjoy it. I love it. Thank you.
Great, I do too. This is episode 7, so if you've been following us, thank you for coming back. If you're new, we hope you'll enjoy today's chat as well. This week in the life of the church has been fairly quiet. I mean, we've had sort of a long weekend. So we had,
yes.
Heritage Day yesterday. So happy Heritage Day to everyone. So things have been a bit quiet. But you were telling me about Jenna and her family.
Yes, I heard that a cousin of Jenna, I believe it is, their family went hiking in the Berg. And on the Friday, the one young lady, I'm not sure where she fits in, but anyway, she went missing, went out on a hike and didn't return. And they've been looking for her, but the weather hasn't been conducive to search. I know on Monday they took dogs out, and but they couldn't find her. And then they wanted to send helicopters up with this thermal... infrared thing, and but eventually they managed to get 2 helicopters up fairly late yesterday afternoon when the wind died down a bit and the mist and cleared up. It was very misty and very cloudy in the Drakensberg, and they found the body. That I do know.
That's horrible.
So our condolences to all of those people. We don't know them, we don't have any direct contact with them, but our heart goes out to them. It's a horrible thing to happen.
Absolutely,
Best way to spoil a long weekend, eh? Shame.
So we'll just pray for Jenna and the family, just around the loss. It's not a nice situation.
Not nice at all.
Can't imagine that. Don't want to imagine that.
They found the body in a ravine, so it would appear as though she took a fall.
Sure, okay. And Trevor's on leave this week. We don't know where he's going. Trevor.
He kind of keeps those things secret normally.
Yes, But anyway, he can get some peace and quiet, I guess.
Shame. And he really needs it, hey? Both he and Lillian desperately need this break. They've been under a lot of pressure, a lot of things happening in the life of the church, a lot of new things happening. And of course, there's all the planning for 2020, which is taking place at the moment. And that weighs a lot on old Trevor's mind. I just cruise through it. But he's the one who's got to come up with the...
It's tough being a leader.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I just thank the Lord that...
it's not you.
That's not me anymore, because I used to find that particularly draining. It comes a lot easier to Trevor, I think, than it does to me. But the big problem is the bigger the church becomes, the more people you've got to take along with you. And the key of leadership, key of successful leadership, is getting people to want to move from where they are to where the leader believes the Lord wants them to be. And that's the real challenge, It's one thing to know where you want to lead the people. It's an entirely different ball game to get them to want to go with you. And that's the key. See that coming out beautifully in people like Moses, of course. Every now and again, the children of Israel didn't want to go where Moses believed the Lord wanted them to go. And the challenge to his leadership was persuading them, you don't want to stay here anymore. You actually do want to move somewhere else. And good leaders are good at this, and Trevor's good at it.
Yeah, it's the whole thing of it. It's better over there. It's not that it's bad here, but it's better over there.
That's it.
Let's get there.
So a lot of work, a lot of planning going on at the moment for 2020, and it's going to be an exciting time. I really believe it. What did somebody say to me when you're moving into the new premises? So I said, well, if you speak to Trevor, it's Easter. If you speak to Jeff and the other guys, it's Christmas. But the thing is, whichever way you look at it, it's getting closer. And as you mentioned last week, you can see stuff happening again.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm in the process of getting quotes and all sorts of things for the sound and the lighting and the cameras and all that stuff. So
yeah, that should get your juices going.
It scares me a little bit. It's not small numbers, but it's frightening how things scale. It's not a linear progression.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's this sort of continual tension between the techno guys and the sort of pastoral side of the church, and the ideal solution is, of course, finding the compromise where you get the best equipment for the lowest possible price, and not necessarily the best equipment for the highest possible price. You know?
We're not in a corporate world here.
No, we're definitely not. And I must say that having seen the way you work with the pastoral staff for the last, about 5-6 years, I think, at least.
That you've been here,
and I've always admired you for that, because the tension has always been minimal. Obviously, you always want something better, but you're happy to accept what we can afford and what works well. And the amazing thing is you get it to work well.
Yeah.
That really is the amazing thing.
Yeah. We always say in church tech, obviously I'm in contact with a lot of other church tech leaders and things like that. But we push equipment way beyond what it was designed to do.
And you do it very well. You really do. If I can just mention one little thing. At our pastors meeting, we often, when we do the debrief of all the events, the services, and we talk about the Sunday service, and you say there were some technical hitches. Well, as a member of the congregation, I'm very seldom aware of it. We just enjoy the worship and what's happening. And some of them are sort of more obvious than others, but 90% of them go undetected by people like me and the rest of the congregation. But I've learned to recognize when we now have technical glitches, and that's when I see you running around during the service like, there's a technical problem somewhere. I don't know what it is, and I haven't detected it myself, but Phil knows about it.
Those are the moments that we just sort of slink in behind the sound desk and hide our faces a little bit.
Phil, but most of the time the general congregation is totally unaware of it, really.
Well, then we're doing our job well.
We're doing it exceptionally well.
We were just chatting just now about planning. With your Wesleyan background, just fill me in a little bit. Did you guys have did all the Wesleyan churches preach the same thing, or did you have your sort of an autonomous...
We were fundamentally autonomous. The pastor was free to do exactly what he wanted to do, but the denomination had a fairly broad outline that they shared with everybody, so that we could see where what the leaders were feeling the direction is that we should take. And I know in South Africa we used to get together in our district and we'd talk about it fairly generally as well. People were free to do exactly what they wanted to do. Of course, being a denomination, we took more cognizance of the religious holidays. Now my mind has just gone blank of all the ones that we used to do that weren't done at Norwegians. I used to speak to the Lent, and Pentecost was a big thing. Ascension Day was a big thing with us, and so we had
Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday started everything. It starts the whole Lent period off. So we took cognizance of these various events, and we used to build stuff around them as well. And then even the whole Christmas deal, the Advent thing. We had our Advent candles that were lit and stuff, which we do here at Norwegians as well. We were probably a little bit stricter. I don't know if that's the word to use, but we were more closely tied to what the various candles, the first 4 candles actually represent.
The symbolism.
Norwegians are a little bit Norwegian in that respect, and a little bit more flexible. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mentioning that as a criticism. Just an observation.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so it wasn't like I think it's the Catholic Church where sort of everyone preaches the same thing on the same Sunday.
No,
it all comes from head office.
Yeah. No, we in the Wesleyan Church you don't have any bishops, and we certainly don't have a pope.
Yeah.
But John Wesley actually said, when somebody asked him, what do I call you? Obviously, John was an ordained Anglican priest, but he was acting outside of the Anglican Church. The Methodists were almost like a class within the Anglican Church. And John Wesley was an Anglican until the day that he died. It was only afterwards that the Methodists as a class were moved out of the Anglican Church by the hierarchy of the Anglicans, but he was fundamentally an Anglican. And so when people started coming into the church on the sort of Methodist kind of level, the people that were being reached, the blue collar workers, which the Anglican Church didn't reach at all. And when somebody came to John Wesley and said, "How do I refer to you? What do I call you?" And he said, "You can call me a knave, and you can call me all kinds of things like that, derogatory terms." He says, "But just never call me bishop." And that sort of spilled over into the Wesleyan Church. The Methodists just sort of recently, in their, what I always say is in a joke, and I'm not serious about it, in their backslidden state, have appointed bishops, and I'm sure that turns old John Wesley in his grave if he was aware of it, But anyway, so
good. Well, if we chat about Sunday a little bit, I really enjoyed Trevor's message.
Oh, it was incredible.
For me, just something that really stood out, kind of through the whole thing, was just God's love, and that He first loved us.
Yes.
And that sort of parallel, that picture between Hosea and Gomer.
Yes.
He chose her while she was yet a sinner. Which is exactly what He's done with us.
Yes.
While we were yet sinners, God chose us.
Right.
God loved us.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. Hosea has always been one of my favorite books, anyway. But I just particularly liked the way Trevor brought the whole thing out. He had this sort of basic 4 points, and starting with God's request and Gomer's rebellion, and then going on to Hosea's rejection, and then the final one, which I really enjoyed, was Gomer's restoration. That, to me, because that's what it's all about. That's what God is always all about. Whatever else is part of our history, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's part of our history, and we need to acknowledge it, and there are certain things that need to be dealt with in terms of that. But the ultimate outcome of all God's dealings with us is restoration. And the incredible thing is, when I read Genesis, the first 3 chapters of Genesis, and then I read the last 3 chapters of Revelation, because everything in between those 6 chapters is a story of how God restores us to what He originally created us to be. But Phil, the thing that excites me is when you read Revelation, we actually end up better than we were in the beginning. Sin comes and destroys everything, and God says, not only will I fix it, I won't only get you up to the level that you were, I'll make it better. Not just a perfect garden, now you've got a city. That's right. And all kinds of improvements in it. God dwells there all the time, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And I think that to me on Sunday, that's what I was hearing when Trevor was sharing about, especially Gomer's restoration and those levels from Hosea chapter 11. He concentrated on the kind of love that was displayed by God, and it was just wonderful. What I also appreciated, what was a real blessing to me, is because I'd never noticed that before. I wasn't aware of it before. When in the one portion in chapter 6, I think it is, where God says through Hosea to Israel that you have forgotten me. Trevor mentioned that the Hebrew means misplaced. And I went and looked it up, and he was right. It's not that we've just forgotten. We've forgotten where we put God.
Yeah.
Our lives just get so crowded with other things that God gets put somewhere, and we forget where He is. And with all the other idols that we have, our jobs and our recreation and our enjoyment and our parties and our fishing and our golf and all these other little things that crowd into our lives, we forget where we put God.
Yeah.
And I just love that, because that's the first step to getting back to the restoration that the Lord wants us to bring.
Yeah.
But also love those levels of love that in chapter 11, that the whole thing starts off with God loving us as a father, and then God loving us with a mother. And he mentioned that we can't genderize.
He is all.
Yeah, but I was going to say that's a particular Downham type word.
Yeah.
that he coined, but it's a good enough word.
Yeah.
Genderize. We don't genderize God, divide Him into male and female. God is all, is everything.
Yeah.
The image of God is seen in both male and female.
Yes.
But I just love that whole thing. And then he goes on and says, God loves us as a physician. Takes care of the things that are wrong. He brings healing to that which is diseased and below par. And then the other one was God loves us as a husband. As a husband. Yeah, He cares for us, protects us.
Yeah.
And that was lovely. And then the last one he mentioned was God loves us as a shepherd.
Yes.
And it was beautiful. It was just wonderful.
And it was all under the umbrella of love.
It is.
That picture that he showed.
It is, that lovely picture of God's love for us.
I saw his little J there. I'm wondering, what's this thing going in the middle here?
That's right.
There we go. There's the umbrella. Covers
yeah.
it.
When I first saw that thing, I wondered as well, what is that, a fish hook? What is it? But it became obvious
Pulled it together
after a while. But yeah, it was good. He brought out some really excellent points. And one of the points that he closed with that I think is so significant to a lot of people is that Gomer had practiced prostitution. She was a prostitute. And she was labeled as a prostitute. And that label she deserved. I almost say she earned it. But right at the beginning, Trevor was saying that she was accepted as a wife.
Yeah.
Not as a prostitute, as a wife. And that's where all these levels of love came out, because God loves us as a child, whatever we might have been and whatever label we deserve. Forget the label. It's part of the past. The present is God just loves us as His children.
Yeah, amen.
Man, that does my heart good.
Yeah.
And
it's because of what Jesus did, that we are now brothers and sisters in Christ.
Exactly. It's what Jesus has done for us. It's just, I just loved it. I think Trevor did. I always enjoy his preaching, but Sunday was really special to me.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
It really was, yeah. And of course, as you were saying, the misplaced or mislaid, that's always the most frustrating thing to try and find. You'll turn your house upside down to find that thing. And that's obviously the desire that we should have to find God.
It is.
It is. It's, where did I put that? I need it, It's, I know it's here.
It's just while you're talking now, I think that, Phil, sometimes the problem is as we allow all these other things to crowd into our lives, these things that become idols to us, we think that they're going to fill the place that's left within us, that God space that we need to fill, and they don't. All the success in the world, all the money in the world, all the accolades, all the success that we might have in the sporting fields or whatever, will never bring that satisfaction. So we always walk around with a sense, I'm missing something. But we look for it in the wrong way, as you were saying, because we just forget it's God.
Try and find it in ourselves, or in materials, or in others.
No, that's that is so true. That's a good thought there.
Yeah.
Good thought. Good.
Well, if you guys missed Sunday's sermon, or if you just want to review it again and glean some new bits as we've been chatting here, hop on over to our YouTube page or to our website, www.nsc.za.org, and click on watch at the top right hand side. I got it right this time. All of our sermons are up there. We'd enjoy having to listen. And then, Errol, you preaching for us this Sunday.
Yeah, I found out this morning.
Surprise!
Excuse me. I had a few conversations with Trevor before he left, and he never mentioned it, but that's fine. That's all right. I'll be dealing, Lord willing, with Obadiah. Obadiah is actually a message primarily to Edom. And it's got some very interesting points in it. I don't want to give away too much at this stage, but I think what we see in Obadiah right at the end, in the second part of Obadiah, is the fact that it talks about judgment that's going to come on Edom because of their lack of sympathy for Judah. When Judah was taken into captivity and the Babylonians came down, Edom came and joined in with the devastation, and they related. The one come from Esau, the other comes from Jacob. They were brothers, they were twins. And God doesn't want us to exploit the devastation that we see our brothers and our friends going through. God doesn't like that sort of thing. There's something about that reaction that is just so abhorrent to God. And so he says, guys, I'm bringing judgment upon you because of this. But then Obadiah changes and he says, this is going to be a type of the day of the Lord, that final judgment that's coming to all of us. But once again, it ends with the day of the Lord is not all bad. It's bad for those who find themselves not being the children of the Lord, not being part of the people of God. But man, is it good for those who belong to the Lord. Yeah. And so I'm quite excited about it.
Oh, good. It reminds me of as a young Christian, or actually probably even before, reading Revelation. We were chatting earlier. You'd see Revelation as sort of the scary thing. You've got this judgment and fire and all this coming down from heaven, and the horsemen with 4 heads, and just like all this scary imagery. It's Revelation. We're scared of that book. But as you grow older, it's actually such an incredibly hopeful and encouraging book.
It is.
That's the purpose of Paul's vision at the end there is just, this is what we're going home to. This is it's just it was just such a beautiful switch of perspective.
It is.
Don't be scared of Revelation. There's hope and joy and just
definitely.
It's a great book.
I remember we had a guy come and preach for us a long time ago now. And very interesting character, this He was one of these way out guys.
Okay.
You remind me a little bit of him. And he used to ride a motorcycle. I mean, he was in his 60s and he still had his motorcycle, Harley Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd had it for all the time that I'd known him. Not the same one, but different bikes.
Yeah.
And he was the first guy that I knew in ministry that sort of had long hair and he belonged to the hippie generation and never really fully grew out of it. But he was a wonderful preacher, great preacher. And I remember him talking once about how he deals with the devil. When the devil comes and attacks him, and he's aware of the fact that the devil's getting up to no good in his church or in his life, in his family, whatever. He says what he does is he goes to his study door and he opens it and he says, "Devil, come inside." And he says, and then he closes the door and he locks it. And he knew the whole book of Revelation off by heart.
Yeah.
And what he'd start doing is he'd start reciting the book of Revelation. And he says you could almost sense the devil gets kind of excited at times, chapter 13, and the beasts arrive and they've got power and all those sort of things. And he says, but then he just keeps on. And when you get to chapter 19, 20, particular 20, 21, 22, he says, then the devil leaves. He runs out of that room very very quickly, locked door, no locked door, because that's the story. In the end, we win.
We win, yeah.
We're on the right side.
Yeah.
It's the wonderful part about it. Yeah. And the whole story of Hosea ends with that same sort of note. We win.
Yeah.
God wins. You know, the devil's not going to cause the people of God to leave him all the time. God is going to bring them back.
Yeah.
Wonderful message.
Amen. Yeah. Well, that'll be a good place to end this portion of the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll be chatting to the ladies down at Blessings.
That'll be wonderful.
Just find out what they're doing and how things are going down there. And then we'll be back for just some final thoughts.
Okay.
Thanks, Errol.
Okay. Thanks, Paul.
We're joined today by the ladies from the Blessings shop. We've got Liz Jones and Aggie Hartley and Rena Frew. And they do we just want to find out a bit more about Blessings and what they do there. So Liz, thank you for joining us.
We started Blessings because we had a ladies' day 2 years ago, and we blessed all the women who came to the day with clothes that were donated by our friends.
Okay.
And there were so many left over that Gerda Boyens, who's my other partner as well, and myself, we decided to start a little shop called Blessings.
Okay.
And Blessings is what the name says. It is really meant there to bless people. So Aggie and Rena, we often pray a lot. That's our mission there, is to help especially hurting women, because there's so many. And often they come in the shop and we just touch them and they start crying, and we can pray with them, and we can just give them hope, because they need hope. And then often we bless them with clothes. But besides that, we have such fun there.
Yeah.
It's a place where friends come and have coffee, and kind enough to donate clothes, and everything goes towards Genesis, because that's our heart, the heart of what we do. But we have fun, and we look forward to every Wednesday, and we want to encourage people to come and have some coffee and bring some clothes, men's clothes, children's clothes, whatever they have spare, and so that we can bless people. And often they come in and they haven't got the finances, and we make things very cheap, or we just bless them with it. And that's what our heart is. These two ladies don't speak, but they're very valuable. They work so hard, and we love having them with us.
Awesome.
You just don't speak in a microphone.
Okay.
So, When we were chatting earlier with Errol, he said this is a bit like the hair salon. You know, you used to go to the hair salon and chat with your friends and
it's
your
so
hairdresser.
true.
and
It's so true.
Just unload.
And also, I just really want to say, Ian has been so amazing next door. You know, he is such a joy and he's such a blessing that we're going to miss him.
Yeah.
So but we'll have to carry on with the coffees and invite everybody to
Yeah.
come.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you guys open, is it just Wednesdays?
It's just Wednesdays. We're thinking about a Saturday again, but it's awkward because lots of times we're away or, you know, it's difficult to get. And then it's to advertise that we open, you know, where do we do it? But we've got to do a few changes and we're going to do that. And, so we're looking forward to it.
Okay. It was just when I came over earlier, just looking at teasing the girls a little bit here.
Yes.
But there's actually a lovely selection of clothing that you guys have
We
got there,
have,
hey?
eh?
Really some smart things there.
And, you know, people worry about seeing, being seen in clothes from Blessings, but no one knows where it comes from.
Yeah.
Those clothes could be from, Fashinis, whatever, Truworth. Because lots of our stuff comes from Durban, from all over the show. So we've got beautiful evening wear, jeans, whatever you need, and no one's going to know where you've got it, you know. So people mustn't worry, they're going to know I bought it from Blessings, because it doesn't matter, you know. We've got good quality clothes.
Yeah.
Hey, yes.
We'll have to ask the Lord then to deal with the pride issue.
I think so. But yeah, so people have often said to me, that's a beautiful top, and I go, Blessings. So yeah.
And all sizes available as well. There was a wedding
All
dress they thought would fit me nicely. So
All sizes, Philip. Yeah, we're really blessed, and people give it with such a generous heart. So
that's
that's
fantastic.
wonderful.
Obviously, people can buy, and you're looking for just
People to
ladies to
donate.
donate as well.
Yes.
Can they get hold of you just directly, or come
They
through to the
can
shop?
drop the stuff off at the office for
Okay.
us, and we ask that the stuff is in a nice condition,
raggedy,
and
yeah.
clean, nice and clean, because we're going to pass it on, and we don't want to give people things that aren't
Shoddy.
really nice. Yeah, so we're grateful, and then we often give some of our stuff to Masaninga, and the stuff that's been standing for a while, and to anybody who needs clothes, So.
And then your proceeds you mentioned go towards Genesis. Eh? Is it
Yeah,
the care centre
everything.
or just
It's the
generally?
care centre.
Okay.
We've specified
centre
it's the care centre.
specifically.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because that's close to our heart.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we have a lot of the Genesis staff actually our customers. So yeah, it's
Okay.
very nice.
And of course, you've got quite a history with the care centre. You did the beadwork and things there as well.
Yes,
eh?
Anthea, I helped Anthea, but she was mostly
she driving
yeah,
that?
she
Okay.
was doing that. But
Okay.
it has always been special for me.
Yeah, it is a
Because
lovely project. that,
Aggie
eh?
goes there and prays there every day. Hey, Aggie. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
wonderful,
Star.
an absolute star.
Yeah, and then as you said, just open for coffee and a chat. Eh?
Yes,
Just
open for
come
coffee
and-
and a chat.
Just-
And yeah, we enjoy it. It's really a lovely way of getting, speaking to people and getting to know people. And the school children we're going to miss because I think they're moving.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's been confirmed yet, but
Yes, we'll really
no,
miss them. But
it's holidays now. Yeah,
yes, it's very quiet.
yeah, no noise.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Well, great. Thank you, ladies. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
coming to
Philip.
join us today.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
just
I
a
just
quick
want to
little
say we're
chat
looking
and-
forward to have Gerda back. We
Yes,
missed her.
yeah.
And we wish her all the best.
Yeah, we've been
And-
praying for her as well. Actually,
Yes.
both of you. We've
Yeah.
been praying for you as well.
So
How was your shoulder? Hey?
No, my brain.
Your
my
brain.
head. Brain central, you worry, hey?
Okay.
But God's so good and so faithful. I have no more pain.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm healing very well.
Oh,
So
good. Well, you're looking fantastic. So.
thank you, Philip. So, and it's, I think it's Revelation. I can't remember if it's 11, but it's by the words of my testimony and the blood of the Lamb. So I don't want to have a testimony. I want to have a testimony. Yeah. So
Great.
it's great.
Well, thank you. It's been great having you on.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you.
You guys are welcome to, as Liz was saying, just Wednesdays at time in the morning. That you open,
10:30 till
10:30.
2:30.
From 10:30 till 2:30. Just pop in and come and visit the ladies. see what they have on selection. Bring your well-loved clothing. Yeah, they'd love to have a cup of tea or coffee with you and just chat to you.
Look forward to seeing you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're back. The ladies down there are doing some great work, so we'd appreciate your support. Just go and visit them down there and support them. I'm sure they'd love to have a cup of tea or coffee with you guys as well. Errol, thank you. It's been a wonderful morning again.
Thanks, Phil.
Always enjoy our chats. And thank you to everyone that's listening in or watching on YouTube. We appreciate you and appreciate your support. If you enjoyed the video, please just hit us a like down the bottom. We'd love to hear from you as well. If there's something on your mind, please just leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Errol, thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Great one.
Been great being here.
See
Thank
you
you
next
very
week.
much. Right.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.